I want to get into that, by the way. Surprise and like the inability for us to understand what's going to happen next. Is that a real thing?
Yep, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And enterprise, creative enterprise is unexpected. That's really how you define it. If you could predict it, socialism would work, planning would work. If you could, if we already know everything we need to know to predict the future, then you don't need creativity and entrepreneurship. And what's predictable is order. And the mistake that many brilliant geniuses make is to identify information as order and enterprise as order. And when Shannon and the whole development of information theory is based on information as disorder. You need an orderly carrier, like the electromagnetic spectrum, guaranteed by the speed of light, in order to bear unexpected messages, surprising messages. And the mistake that Matt Ridley, you brought up Matt, who's a mutual favorite of ours, but Matt in his latest book makes this mistake. He says that information is improbable order. And that really is a mistake, because it dismisses all the mathematics and logic that Claude Shannon and Kurt Gödel and Gregory Chaitin and all the great, John von Neumann, all the great figures of information theory have identified information as disorder. And that's information as the unexpected event rather than the expected event. Now the interest rates give you the projected average predictable return across an economy. But profits and losses are the unexpected results. They're the fruits of creativity and the driving force of capitalism.
Yeah. So, so when you're thinking about these things, how do you think about disorder, for example? Like you're bringing it up, and I want to agree with you. So that's a good thing, right? So we're on the same plane. But how do you actually talk about that?
Shannon talked about disorder as the degrees of freedom a message sender has in sending a message. In other words, you define the amount of information in the message by the number of possible messages the sender could have chosen based on his alphabet or his portfolio of capabilities. And thus, Shannon tied information with freedom and entropy. And this confuses a lot of people because people regard entropy as destructive disorder, you know, as...
But it's not, though.
What?
It's not.
But it's not. Entropy is information. It's unexpected bits.
Yeah.
And bits are unexpected in proportion to the number of possible messages that could have been generated. And that's why a free economy with more possible messages can generate more creative results. And that's the real heart of information theory and the information theory of capitalism that I'm developing, and
Yeah.
Life After Google is about it.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Just the information theory of capitalism. Can you like dig in for a second?
Yeah, well, that's what creativity always comes as a surprise to us. Information is defined by its surprisal. And so you can converge information with entrepreneurship, economic creation. And that favors free countries over communist countries. And that is,
Why is that true?
And that's our great source of hope as we confront today a Chinese nation that is falling back toward communist regimentation, while at the same time fostering a market that's larger and more pullulating than ours today. And this is what I write about a lot in my daily prophecies and my monthlies and my moonshots, all of which are devoted to finding ways to invest in this turbulent world where China is increasingly pursuing capitalism under a regimented realm of no free speech, while the U.S. is increasingly adopting socialist and kind of policies, even though we purport to be free. And it's full of perplexities, and it creates a challenging environment for investors. And I'm trying to work my way through this environment and find the new technologies that really are going to shape the future.